few years ago I picked this thing up. Some of the folks around town were flying them in the gym, so it's actually kind of fun. Most guys are flying helis. I'm not a big fan of helicopters. I had a couple. I just sold my last one. But this was a ride, and buzzing around. I think I knocked it around pretty good. As you can see, it's still in really nice shape. Little ding in the tail there, and the rudder. You're very limited to what you can do. If you put in her a dive, you might get a bit of a barrel roll out of it, but it gets kind of boring after a while. It's got a neat little radio in it, but one of the things I don't like about it is foam. I don't know. It's pretty tough. Seems to work pretty good, but I don't know. The other day I was in the hobby shop. You know, it's so ugly it's cute. So for around 35 bucks, give or take, a couple of dollars, I bought it, brought it home, sat down in front of the TV and started gluing this thing together. 2 evenings I had her framed up. And if you got a rainy day, you start in the morning, you'll have her done by the evening, ready to fly. The laser cut parts are just amazing. Now, I'm not huge into electrics, but there's something about the style of this thing. I just had to build it. I don't have any wrecked foamies, which seems to be what they're directed at. So I just bought the Park Zone receiver board. It's a receiver, elevator and rudder servo, and your throttle control all in one for about 70 bucks in Canada. So I bought that. I bought the Park Zone P51 motor they recommend. And get glue tips. You'll see I got some groaners on the windshield there. I'm kind of annoyed at that, but nothing I can do now. The other thing is find another way to heat shrink that tube. As you can see, I scorched out a match. This is I'll mention a couple of the things I didn't like. That's one of them. But it's the first time I ever built anything like this, so I'm not using heat shrink for the push rod. So you basically cut it, hook it in, and put your Z-bend in, hook it in, and then heat shrink it on. I found it only shrank so much, so I wicked some CA inside there, and it seems to be holding it pretty good. And the elevator was easy. It was nice and long, so I just put a V in the push rod, and that allows me to adjust the elevator. If I'll trim it out if it needs to, then I can just use whoa, this thing's got the zoom from hell here. Just use the little V there to adjust it. But see, I had enough room to get the Z-bend in here just by flexing that wire. But there it is. I used light span to cover it. I mean, this stuff is it's so light you can cover rubber powered models with it. Another thing I like about it, it gets nice and drum tight, but doesn't shrink enough to distort the frame like plastic coverings do. Even that super light plastic stuff, it seems to warp light airframes. But there it is. I'm coming back to kits, and when I saw this, it's like, wow. I gotta build that, so I did. A little something I did different. They tell you to glue that engine in, or the motor in. There's pegs on it for stuffing it into a styrofoam airplane. They tell you the C8 on, but I'm thinking if anything happens to that motor, you're going to wreck that mount getting it out. So what I did is I used this really thin double-sided tape. So it's really thin stuff, and it's foam. So it's doing two things. It's holding the motor in. It's also going to act as an isolator. Even though it's electric, it's gear driven. Guarantee you that prop isn't balanced perfect, and that'll suck up a little bit of the vibration. So that's one thing. The only real thing I changed was that, and that push rod. If I was to build another one, I'd do the Z bend on the back, and the wire is long enough because you have to feed it in from the back. If you go in from the front, forget it. Then you do your little, my big fingers ain't gonna work. You do your little bend there. So we can zoom in here. But I'd mark it, make my bend, and then twist it in here. And you'd be able to do that because from this bulkhead here to here, that wire's free, so it'll be easy to twist it. But I'd hook it up to the rudder first. Like I said, that's pretty short. And just use one piece instead of that. And you could even put that loop or V in like I did, but it'd be pretty close to this, which is fine. It's better than this blob that I got there. That and torching your airplane. But as far as the kit goes, it's an awesome little model. Hopefully tomorrow I can fly it, because I got nowhere indoor to fly it. So I'll take it out tomorrow, buzz around with it. But when you're building this thing, I'm just used to big airplanes. I couldn't find my glue tips that were staring me right in the face. Get a bunch of these because you're going to need them, and you'll avoid this blob job I did on the canopy. Yeah, put things so I won't lose them and I forget where I put them. Bet you I'm not the only one that does that. And this is the battery for the thing. This is pretty incredible. Yeah, that's your battery. I glued these on. I sanded the surface of the battery a little bit. It's a lipo. I wouldn't go grinding the shit out of it. And I just CA'd those Velcro strips on there. And the same with the inside. As you can see, I got that battery in there. Yep. You could get into it for about $150. Yeah, but of course your radio, motor, all that stuff can be transferred to another plane. I don't know if it's light in it. It's pretty light. I don't know if you could even wreck it. But it's addictive. If you buy one, you can also buy another one because you're going to want to build another one. Yeah. This is kind of like the sister to it. It's the same wing and tail. It's just it's open. This one's the open cockpit. Yep. Yes, I bought 3 of these things today. Yep. Oh well. Better than pissing it up against the wall in the tavern, I guess. There you have it. One Liddle Gee.